It's Monday the 16th of May 2011 and this is Photo Walkthrough episode number 167, tutorial 22, chapter 3. Hello and welcome back to Photo Walkthrough. This is chapter 3 of tutorial 22, the last chapter in this tutorial. Before we get started, let's take a moment to talk about backups. You're a photographer, so you must back up those photographs that you're so proud of. When was the last time you did a backup? And was it on a DVD or was it like an external drive or something? What's going to happen if your house burns down or if you get a flood or maybe all your computer equipment gets stolen? You're going to lose everything. Make sure you've got off-site backups. That's where you need a service like Mozy. As a Photo Walkthrough viewer, you can have a 15% discount on the Mozy backup package. And what Mozy does is fantastic. It does automatic backups and it will, anything new that gets written to your hard drive, it'll spot it, it will move it up to the internet, save it for you online, and then if the worst happened, you can always get that data back. Mozy is a totally secure, totally reliable solution that does the backups for you. You just install a little bit of software on your computer and it handles the rest all by itself. Mozy is a fantastic deal and you can get that 15% discount by using the promo code PHOTO when you sign up. Thanks very much to Mozy for supporting Photo Walkthrough. Okay, let's get started with today's tutorial, chapter 3, and today we're going to finish this process up by looking at a bit of split toning. Hope you enjoy it. Now, just taking a final look at the image, I think there's a couple of just broad edits I want to make. I'm going to use the adjustment brush again. I'm going to do a new adjustment with a darkening, and I'm going to just with a really big brush, and not too strong a brush, so a flow of 30% and just a -1 on my exposure adjustment there. I'm just going to darken the clouds a little bit there and darken this generally bright area here a little bit just to bring tones back together. We have generally got too much brightness up here at the moment, and a little bit in the middle, a little bit at the end. Just try and get everything back sort of together so that things look generally evened up. It's a really hard thing to describe what I'm talking about here. I'm trying to get the image so that it all feels like a consistent whole. So any regions that are generally very bright, unless they're where you want people's eyes to go, you probably want to darken them up to try and make them match the rest of the image. So in the case of this tender touch, for example, I do want people's eyes to go here, so I have generally let that be a sort of a brighter area. It wasn't actually one of the brighter areas to start with, but it is one of the brighter areas now. If you ever want to take a check, by the way, and see how far you've come, all these edits look very small when you're making them. If you press the backslash key on your keyboard, you can go back to your starting point and you can see just how far we've come. We've come an awfully long way with this image. Now the final thing I want to do, there's one more step to control the light that I want to do, so I've just scrolled to the bottom of this right hand column, and in the effects section we've got my favourite slider, which is the vignette slider. And I think in images like this one it really works very, very well just to move that attention in. Now I don't want to be too strong with this, and if you're ever wondering how strong your edit is, you won't really get a sense of how strong that vignette is in the main image, because while it's moving you can see what it's doing, but when you let go, if you wait a moment, the vignette doesn't look so strong. You'll notice it much more in the thumbnail version in the navigator. So if you're not sure whether or not the edit you've made is too strong, check the thumbnail. That usually will give you a better idea of whether or not it's too strong. In this case I think I'd like to go back just a little bit, but I will also just drag the midpoint in a little, just to focus the eye a bit more on the tender touch. If you can't see what difference that's making, let me drag the amount down all the way, and you can see much more clearly there what the midpoint slider does. You can see it sort of pulls it further into the middle, and I'm going to go to about there, and then I'm going to drag my amount back up to where it feels reasonable to me, which is about there. Now it's a fairly strong vignette. That's probably stronger than many people's taste. This happens to be to my taste. And the final thing I want to do is really give this a much more interesting character, and I'm going to do that by using a split toning. So I'm going to drag up to about halfway down this right hand side to the split toning section, and I'm going to use some unusual colours here. I've got a sort of a sense of oldie worldy tends to come from sepia tones, but I don't like being too traditional and predictable. So I'm going to do a sort of a sepia tone in the highlights. And if you hold down the Option or Alt key, you can choose your colour with really strong colours. Holding down the Option or Alt key will let you choose the colours so that it's really easy to see what the colour is. And I'm looking for sort of a yellowy orange, which about there. Now, when you let go, that colour goes away because we haven't got any saturation. So I'm going to drag the saturation up until it sort of feels like a nice strong colour. What I get used to going a little further than you're comfortable with. That sort of looks to my eye right now like about the right amount, but I'm going to deliberately drag it further. I'm going to drag it up into sort of the 30s. And then later on, if it still feels like too strong a colour, I'll back it off later. But give your eye a chance to get used to it, because quite often you can tolerate a lot more than you think you would be able to. Now in the shadows, I don't really want just a regular orangey shadowy colour. I'm going to go right way out. I'm going to go into the blues. And I think that looks right away. That's eye-catching to me. So that was, again, I was holding down the Option or Alt key, that while you drag the hue slider, you'll see those colours much more strongly. And I actually think that's kind of the effect I want. So I'm going to let that saturation drag right the way up. I'm going to go all the way into the strong colours. And I think the final thing that really that this image needs is, because at the moment now there's too much blue in the bottom area. Now I can use the balance slider to balance that up, and so if I drag it to the left we get more blue, if I drag it to the right we get more of that sort of tan colour. But we're seeing a lot of blue in the bottom and a lot of tan in the top. So I think rather than do a lot of that, what I'd rather do is I'll try and get the top half right, and then I'm going to go back up to the top. And once again with my exposure edits, using the adjustment brush, I'm going to click on that lightning one at the bottom there, and I'm going to just drag that up a little bit more, and that you can see that's making it more tan already. And the other thing we can do is we can use our fill light slider to put more light in at the bottom there as well. And that now, as you can see, gives us a much more even balance between the tans and the blues at the top and the bottom of the image. And I think just makes that image really come together a little bit better. We could also, if we wanted to try and balance those tones in the split toning there, we could perhaps do something a little bit more with our vignette. Maybe we'll take that out a little bit more, use less midpoint, a little bit more strength, a little bit more amount there. And of course the other thing we could do if we wanted to, bit of adjustment brush, bit more negative adjustment brush, and just with a slow flow rate we could just paint a bit more darkening into the sky here, just bring a bit more blue into the top, and just try and even up those tones. So what we thought looked like a reasonable processing before, once again we find that we need to adjust it once we've got a lot of colour coming into there that is based on the tone. Remember that the blues come from the darker tones. That's because it's the colour of the dark tones. So we can really affect how the overall image looks very differently once we've got that split toning on there. Now that is very close to finished, I think, for my tastes anyway. I think we could stand, having said that tan looked too strong before, I think we could stand to go a little stronger still with that tan colour. There we go. That now feels much more balanced between the colours to me. I mean, maybe we could come down a little on the blues, maybe we could go a little, once we've done that we could go a little down on the tans until it suits your taste. But be brave, be bold. If you've got an idea, go all the way with it, and if once you've gone all the way with it it still feels wrong, then back it off. But be bold as much as you can. Alright, I'm going to leave this image there for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that useful and interesting, and I will catch you in the next tutorial on another day. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Okay, we're all done for another week. Thank you very much for watching. I've got a few interesting shows coming up. I've got some product reviews, I've got a brand new tutorial in the works, and I might even have an interview. So keep watching Photo Walkthrough at www.photowalkthrough.com. Remember, you can watch all the shows in your browser there, or you can sign up to the podcast using iTunes in the podcast section. It's all free. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Photo Walkthrough is a free online video show about photography and digital photo editing using Photoshop and Lightroom. Please help support the show by using our sponsors' promo codes or by passing the promo codes on to your friends. Join the Photo Walkthrough community, find all the old shows, and subscribe to the new ones for free at photowalkthrough.com.